See here. Whew. That's up close and personal. Let's see, let's see, let's see. All right. All right, all right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started for this evening. I want to thank you, everyone, for joining me here this evening on the first day of Relax, Relate, Release. My name is Sharika Matthews of Live Life Beyond Barriers, and I'm just really grateful that you have taken the first step in order to help relieve the stress, restore some kind of order into your life, and just live an easier, more powerful life. For those of you who are new to me, like I said, I am Sharika Matthews, and I am a life and relationship coach by trade. But what I really do is that I coach and I teach and I mentor women on how to reclaim their time and reclaim their energy and reclaim their identity from the corporate climb, from relationships, especially the bad relationships, and just from the roles and responsibilities that so many of us have in our lives. And I do this because this is the only way that you're really going to elevate your relationship with God, that you're really going to get a good sense and get back on track into becoming the powerful woman that God has created you to become, and also for you to actually experience more peace, more happiness, more joy, and more prosperity in your life. So that's what I do, and that's why I created this 5-day challenge here, because I know that a lot of women are walking around right now who are just exhausted and overwhelmed and just completely stressed out, and it's affecting their romantic relationships, it's affecting their jobs, it's affecting how they show up in life, and it's also affecting just how they even feel about themselves. So that's why I created this 5-day challenge, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you specific things that you can do in your day-to-day life to help relieve some of the stress, help you sleep better at night, and help you to sharpen your mind, gain more clarity, and gain more focus throughout the day. Here's the thing about a challenge. A challenge is not supposed to be easy peasy, where I give you one easy thing to do today that if you do it, it's going to make all your troubles go away. No, the thing about a challenge is actually giving you some information that you can apply consistently day after day after day after day. And it may cause some stretching. It may cause you to be uncomfortable. It may cause you to say no to some things that you may want to do. But in the end, in the long run, what's going to happen is a transformed life. That is the purpose of a challenge. The purpose of the challenge is to get you out of the rut, get you out of your comfort zone so that you can actually begin to experience something different and make it last. Because I can give you some quick fixes that'll help you sleep tonight, that'll help you feel less stressed tomorrow. But what you really desire, if we are all honest, we want a lifestyle of peace, a lifestyle of less stress, a lifestyle of sleeping easier, so that we have a life where our relationships can flourish, so that we can have a life where we are living in purpose and on purpose, so that we can have a life that is so spiritually aligned that we move in divine flow and operate in our divine power. So that's what we're going to do here today. So today is day one on a Sunday night, and I choose to start a lot of my challenges and a lot of my programs on a Sunday night to set the tone for the upcoming week. Oftentimes we see Monday as the first day of the week, but in reality, Sunday is the first day of the week. So a lot of us have our spiritual practices where we go to church, where we take some extra time to spend with God on Sunday mornings. And so Sunday evenings is that time for you to bring to your remembrance all the things that you did on Sunday morning, recenter yourself, and plan out the rest of your week based on what you do on today. So that's why I usually start my challenges on a Sunday evening, so that the rest of your week, the other 6 days of your week, can be super powerful and super magnetic for all the things that you truly desire in your life. So today's topic is it all starts in your mind, because when we talk about relieving stress, relieving or feeling stress and feeling disappointment and feeling overwhelmed and all this good stuff, although those things are feelings, it all starts in your brain, because whatever you believe, you conceive. Whatever you think, you create. You see, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So if your life is full of stress, it's full of drama, it's full of chaos, chances are your mind is full of stress, your mind is full of drama, your mind is full of chaos. And so if you allow your mind to be overrun by the daily stresses of life, the worries of other people, the thoughts of your never-ending to-do list, or even your negative and fearful thinking, this is what causes all of the feelings that you're experiencing right now. This is what's causing all the chaos and the drama that you're experiencing in life. Because the truth is, everything is connected. I always think of it like a circle, like a ring. If your mind isn't right, your world isn't right. If your world isn't right, your mind isn't right. If your mind isn't right, your world isn't right. So you have to start somewhere in order to break that cycle, in order to create something new. So when you allow your mind to be free from stress, when you allow your mind to be free from worries and chaos and anxiety, that anxious feeling, then you'll be able to sleep better at night. When you allow your mind to be free from the stresses of life, guess what? You can actually calm your baby. This is something that I learned from a coworker of mine some time ago, and actually something I've learned from several men who are married to women with children. And what they have realized is that oftentimes the wives become upset with them, because as soon as the man comes home from work, they take the baby, and the baby immediately calms down. The baby immediately goes to sleep. Whereas the mother, who's probably been with the baby at least an hour, or if not more, has been spending all her time, all her energy, doing all these tricks and stuff, trying to get the baby to calm down and go to sleep. And then as soon as the husband come home, he sat down, she hands him the baby, and the baby just falls out asleep. Why is that? Because one thing that most men are really good at is compartmentalizing. Men are Men know how to separate work from home, know how to separate one thing from the other. So when they come home, they're not worried about what's happening tomorrow. They're not worried about this, that, and the other, dinner and changing diapers and why the baby can't sleep. They're not stressing over every little thing. They have a greater sense of calm. So when the wife hands the husband the baby senses that calm feeling, senses the peace, sensing the lack of chaos, and then the baby is able to relax. And that just goes to show that whatever happens on the inside affects what's happening on the outside. It affects your relationship. It actually affects how your husband feels about you or how your mate feels about you. Because if you're feeling anxious, stress, and worry, they're going to feel that anxiousness, that stressfulness, that worriness, and they're going to respond likewise. You go to work and you are feeling stressed and anxious and all this good stuff, and your coworkers begin to respond to that stress, respond to that anxious nervousness, respond to all the chaos that's happening, and the cycle goes on and on. So that is why you have to change something in your life. There's a quote that Bruce Lee says, and that goes, "It's not a daily increase, but a daily decrease. Hack away at the inessentials." meaning that one thing that women are very known for is multitasking. We are known to be complicated. We are known to be so intertwined in so many different things that we always have a lot going on. We always have so much going on. But here's the thing, in order to achieve peace, in order to achieve spiritual alignment, you have to get rid of the inessentials in your life, meaning simplify your life. Simplify your life. You don't have to multitask. And this is something that I even had to course correct on myself. Is, I'm up here eating dinner and trying to type at the same time, or I'm on the phone and I'm doing something I'm on the phone talking, and I may be, scrolling through an email or scrolling through Instagram at the same time instead of focusing on one thing at a time. So in order to relax your mind and free your mind from all the worries and all the stress and anxiety, you have to learn to take away the things that are not important. Take away the inessential. Decrease some of the things that are happening in your life. Decrease the number of people you come around. Decrease the things that you do so that you can actually experience peace. And that means actually letting go of control. Women, we like to control a lot of stuff, and it's not just women. I know men like to control things too, and it's probably more in their nature to control things than it is for women. But we have to learn to let go of control. We cannot control the person next to us. We cannot control the driver in front of us. We cannot control every single person in our household. We cannot control the fact that, your son did not put the dishes in the dishwasher the way you want them to. And so we get all anxious and upset about it. So we take all the dishes out the dishwasher and then put them back in the way we want it done, regardless of the fact that the dishes would have gotten clean either way. So we have to learn to stop, to let go of the need to control everything, every situation, every nuances in our life. We have to resist the urge of getting involved in other people's drama, in other people's situations, sharing our opinions and doing all this extra stuff, because all you're doing is adding more to your plate. One thing about our society today is that because of technology, we are always connected to something. We are always connected to our phones. We are always connected to Facebook. We are always connected to Instagram. We are always connected to the news. We are always connected to the sports scores. We are always connected to something or somebody. So our phones are always ringing. Our phones are always vibrating. We're always getting notifications of what somebody said or what somebody did or what's happening over on the other side of the world. We're always connected. So we have this almost like an information overload if you don't learn how to control what you're intaking into your brain, what's coming into your senses, your eyes, your ears, your senses, so that you can control what's happening in your mind. So what we're going to talk about today is I'm going to give you several exercises. Today is probably going to be the heaviest day of the week because this is the beginning of the week, and I want to set tone and give you some daily practices that you must start to implement this week in order to relieve your mind, to relieve your stresses. So I'm going to give you several groups of exercises to address almost every area of your unrest and your anxiety. So we're going to talk about being overwhelmed. We're going to talk about negative thinking. We're going to talk about worry and stress and anxiousness. We're going to talk about fear and disappointment, and exercises you can do to calm your mind and to declutter your mind, to declutter everything that's going in it so that you can control how you think. Because if you can control how you think and what you think, you can control how you feel and what you feel. And if you can control how you feel and what you feel, then you can begin to move with more ease. You can move with more grace. You can be able to relax. You'll be able to release things. You know the saying, let stuff roll off your back like a duck. This is how you get there. You have to incorporate daily practices in your life in order to achieve that state of being. So the first thing we're going to talk about here are exercises you can do to release this overwhelming feeling. So the first thing you want to do, that I've already kind of hinted at already, is to look for ways to simplify your life. Minimize your choices. because I think I've seen and I've heard different people do this before, but I think Barack Obama does this. I think Oprah, maybe. I forget some of the other celebrities who've done this, but I've read this in book. I've seen these in interviews and stuff like that. But you want to be able to minimize your choices in your day-to-day life, because with technology and bigger closets and more responsibility and all the advances that we have in today's society, we have so many more choices we have to make. Think about it. When you go into the grocery store, how many different choices of cereal do you have? There's a whole freaking aisle of cereal boxes that you have to choose from. 50 years ago, it's probably like maybe 3 or 4 different types of cereals to choose from. Now we literally have maybe 100 different types and brands of cereal all in one aisle. And it takes you about 10 minutes to figure out what you want to do. Or let's say you want to go and, you need to buy a shirt. I recently had to go and buy a white shirt. Oh my gosh, it probably took me half a day to find the shirt that I wanted, because there were so many stores in the mall. There were so many options in each store for what I wanted. So it took me hours in order to figure out and make the choice and make a decision on what shirt I really wanted. So you want to minimize your choices in life, because when you have so many different choices in life, it adds to greater anxiety. It adds to your indecision. It adds to your paralysis. Sometimes you get stuck because you are feeling overwhelmed. So that causes paralysis. And in the end, all it does is makes you feel dissatisfied. So what are some things you can do to simplify your life? As women, I say simplify your hair. I don't know about you, but my hair takes up a lot of my time. So when I am in a bind and I want something that is simple, I want something that still looks good and professional, I'll pin my hair back, or I'll put it up in a bun, or I even have a couple of wigs, so that I don't have to spend, an extra hour in the morning doing my hair. Because at the end of my day, my hair is not the most important thing. It adds to my overall look, but if I'm able to simplify that process, I could still achieve the same results of looking presentable, of looking cute, of looking professional, but not have to dedicate an extra hour of my time to do it. Another thing you can do, and this is something I did hear Barack Obama say, was simplify your clothes choices. That's what it was. Barack Obama, it was Mark Zuckerberg, and somebody else. It was like 3 very famous people who have a habit of simplifying their wardrobe, meaning there's only 2 colors in their closet, black and blue. And so they don't spend hours in the morning trying to figure out, should I wear this shirt with this pants? Does this stripe go with this polka dot? They keep it simple because they know that the impact of what they are doing on a day-to-day basis, meaning leading the country or running a multi-billion-dollar company or impacting people's lives or whatever they do that brings in their income, that serves their purpose, it has a greater impact on society and on their world than the choice of clothes that they wear. So yes, their style may range from, a $10 t-shirt to a $500 button-down shirt. But the key to that is always going to be keep it simple, because they can use their time in a greater way instead of standing in their closet every morning trying to figure out what to put on. Other thing to do to keep it simple is chores. And I know this is something that I learned a few years ago, and I do it religiously. How can you simplify your chores? How can you simplify your time that's given towards doing the day-to-day activities? Can you hire a housekeeper? Can you drop your clothes off at the cleaners and let them do your laundry? It takes you 15 minutes to drop it off, 15 minutes to pick it up, and when you come home, 15 minutes to put it up. 45 minutes for what used to take you 4 hours to do. How can you simplify your day-to-day activities? So what are some other things in your life that you can simplify? Can you simplify your cooking? Can you simplify what you eat? Can you simplify, the tasks you do at work? How can you simplify your life so that it is less complicated, so that you have fewer choices, so that you can go in, make a decision really quickly and get the thing done? So that's number one. Number two, for decreasing your feelings of being overwhelmed, is to get rid of stuff. Having too much stuff in our physical environment takes away from our time, takes away from our productivity, but it also makes us feel anxious. It also makes us feel, these negative thoughts and feelings. Because whether you are a neat freak, or you don't even have to be a neat freak, you have to be a super organized person. But when you have so much stuff around you, it's hard to think clearly. Let's think about if you are in a crowded room. How effective, if you need to make a decision on, a proposal or something at work, is it easy for you to make a decision around with 100 people talking about 100 different things? No, because all the voices, all the energy, all the commotion clouds out your thinking. And it's the same way in your environment, in your home, in your bedroom, in your office, in your living room, in your kitchen. um, you have to be able to let go and get rid of physical things, because again, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world, and they are all interconnected with each other. So while you are in the process of decluttering your mind, and you are in the process of letting go all of the negative thoughts and all of the stresses and all of the feelings of overwhelm, you want to make sure your environment reflects what you're trying to achieve internally. So what can you get rid of? So one exercise I want you to do to kind of get rid of stuff or declutter your environment is to clean out your dresser. Clean out your dresser. I know we all have dressers. We all have junk drawers in our nightstand or in the kitchen or whatever. Get rid of it. Clean it out. Because what that physically represents, especially a junk drawer literally represents all the unfinished tasks that you have in the back of your mind. It represents all the unfinished chores that's in the back of your mind, that's nudging you, that's edging you, that's really kind of like scratching at the back of your neck, just enough to irritate you. And when you're irritated, you begin to talk irritated, you begin to think irritated, you begin to react irritated. So you want to get rid of that junk drawer and organize. Get rid of things that you don't need. And I know we tend to hold on to things. Well, I might need it. Well, if you don't need it right now, get rid of it. If you haven't touched it in 6 months, get rid of it. Same thing for your socks drawer. If you have unmatched socks, get rid of it. Same thing for your underwear drawer. You should be changing your underwear every 6 months. So get rid of all the old underwear, get some new underwear. Oh, your t-shirt drawer. I mean, some of us, men and women alike, we have tons of t-shirts. Get rid of the ones you are not wearing. Get rid of it. So go through your drawers. Go through your bedroom drawers. It could be your dresser, it could be your chest of drawers, it could be your nightstand. Get rid of the things that you have not used the past 6 months. And that is your first step to get rid of stuff and decluttering your mind. And then you want to go from room to room to room. So start in your bedroom. Now I would actually suggest you either move to your kitchen or move to your closet, your kitchen, your closet, and your office. When I did this exercise, I actually did my whole house in one day. It took probably maybe 2 or 3 hours, probably closer to the 3-hour mark. I got rid of everything in my closet I had not worn in 6 months, and there was some cute stuff. I got rid of shoes I ain't worn in 6 months, so that hurt my feelings. And then, I got rid of a bunch of kitchen utensils. I had I don't know what you call it now. It's like a roaster for a chicken. It was this, yeah, it's like a roaster for a chicken. I ain't use it. I'll probably use that thing once in the 5 years I had it. I got rid of it. I got rid of the George Foreman grill I ain't been using. I got rid of books that I love books. So I got rid of the books I haven't opened up in the past year. And although I still have a ton of books, I actually refer to almost all of my books on a regular basis. But there were ones I had about when I was a first time homeowner, how to do plumbing, how to lay tile, how to build a a patio. You know, I had all kinds of stuff, and I ain't looked at that stuff in like 10 years. So I got rid of all of that, and so it was such a freeing experience because you realize how much stuff you have hidden away in your closet, in your drawers and stuff like that. And it's a representation of how cluttered your mind is, about how busy your mind is, and how overwhelmed that you are. So when you begin to clear out that stuff, your mind began to feel at ease. You begin to feel more relaxed. That's what I want you to do. And then number 3 here is understand that not everything is important and urgent. You see, we want to respond to every single thing, and this is especially true for emails, for comments on social media, for someone calling you and ask you to do something. Now we feel as if we have to respond to everything. We have to say yes to every request. And when you do that, that is what's caused you to feel stressed out. That's what's caused you to feel overwhelmed. It's stirring up this high anxious anxiety type of energy, and you become busy with trivial stuff that doesn't feed into what you need to do now, that doesn't feed into your priorities for the day. And then because you're so frenzied, because you're so busy, because you're going here, and here, and doing so much stuff, and you're distracted by emails, by social media, by the phone calls, by your kids asking for this, by your husband asking for this, by your coworkers asking for this, that you actually begin to detach from people. You begin to detach from people, and you begin to detach from your feelings. And that is a dangerous place to be. When you become detached from people, you begin operating from a robotic type of mode, meaning that you see yourself as a task completer, or just an activity completer. Like you're just doing stuff. You're not experiencing life. You're not smelling the roses. You're not noticing whether or not the sky was cloudy or the sky was bright. You're not noticing that the trees have 3 different shades of green leaves on them. You're not noticing that your kids in the back seat are feeling some kind of way because you're so busy worried about getting them to school on time, make sure they have their backpacks, make sure they have lunch, that you haven't taken the time to really connect with the people around you and feel them and use your discernment. And that's one of your powers as a woman. And as a person, you have the gift of the Holy Spirit within you, and you try the Spirit by the Spirit. So even if you're not keen in on your discernment or on your intuition, if you get so busy, so overwhelmed, and so robotic and doing stuff, you miss the Holy Spirit. You miss the nudging of the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit speaks in a still small voice. The Holy Spirit will tug at your spirit to try and tell you, hey, notice the sadness in your son's eyes, or hey, notice the sadness in your daughter's eyes, or hey, notice that your mom is feeling really anxious about something that she's not telling you. You miss all of that. And then you miss your own feelings and your own emotions, because although your dominant feeling right now may be overwhelmed, or maybe stress or something like that, but your underlying feelings behind that could be emptiness, it could be loneliness, it could be other things. And here's the purpose of emotions and your feelings, and you may have heard me say this before. Your emotions and your feelings are just a compass to let you know how far you have moved away from God. Think about that. Your emotions and your feelings are a compass to let you know how far you have moved away from God. Meaning, if you feel lonely, that is your call to get closer to God. If you feel sad, that is your call to realign yourself with God. If you feel guilty, that is your call to get closer to God. Your emotions are there to call you back to God and come to Him to help heal you, to fill you up, to give you the answers you are looking for, to be reminded of all the miracles, all the blessings that you have already received. It is your call to come closer to God. It's just a compass. But what happens is we don't want to feel the feelings because they're uncomfortable. We get so busy doing things that we forget to be, to know that we are human beings, and we miss God's call for love. We miss God's call to get closer to Him. We miss God's call to allow Him to embrace us. We miss it. So this is why you want to understand that you don't have to answer every phone call. You don't have to answer yes to every request. You don't have to answer or reply immediately to all of your emails. So one of the things that I do, and some of my friends know this about me too, it's rare that my ringer is on my phone. Very, very rare. I don't even have the vibrate on my phone because we have been programmed, especially this generation, to respond every time we hear a phone ring, to respond every time we hear a vibrate. And one of the things that people say, well, how do you know, it's not an emergency or it's not important? Well, if it's important, they'll leave a message. If it's important, they'll send me a text. If it's an emergency, a life or death situation, I should not be the one you're calling. You should be calling 911 because I am not a doctor, nor am I a lawyer. But one thing I do know is when I need to answer the phone, when it is an important call that I need to answer, somehow, some way, God nudges me to pick up the phone, look at my phone. It could be in the middle of the night. This actually happened to me a few years ago. I just happened to roll over at the very moment my phone was ringing. I didn't hear it because there was no ringtone on and there was no vibrate. And at that moment I picked it up, I found out the news that a family member had died. So in my life, I trust that God leads me to when to pick up the phone. And getting to that level, because I don't stress about missing a phone call. I believe that everything happens in divine order. I believe that God's timing is perfect. And I make sure that my discernment is sharp. I make sure that I listen for the voice of God, or I respond to the nudges that the Holy Spirit gives me in order to pick up the phone at the right time, in order to be at the right place at the right time. And so it is a level of spiritual maturity that allows you to detach yourself from your phone. Even for parents, I know it's hard for parents to turn off your phone because you're like, what if my child needs me? What if it's an emergency? Well, can you trust God to lead you to pick up the phone at the right time instead of always answering the phone in the middle of a meeting, or always answer the phone in the middle of a conversation, or always answer the phone in the middle of something else? And 9 times out of 10, it's not life or death. 9 times out of 10, it's not something that has to be done at this very moment. And so you want to learn to prioritize, minimize, or even delegate some of your tasks to other people. Also, with your emails and on your phone, turn off your notification. I don't have notifications on for my Facebook. I get 0 notifications. I don't have notifications for my emails. So I get an email when I check it. Some people are like, well, how are you able to function? Easy. I have an easier life because I'm not always responding to every notification. I turn it off, and I have set times when I check my email, set times when I check Facebook, set times when I check Instagram. So you want to be able to minimize and delegate some of the things that's going on. And that goes into my number 4, minimize distractions. Turn off your email notifications, turn off your social media notifications so that you're not always distracted by technology. Okay. And then number 5, which is probably one of the most important things in order to overcome feelings of overwhelm, is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness simply means being present in the here and the now, meaning that as I'm sitting here, I can feel my butt on the seat. I can feel my feet in my shoes. I can feel the temperature in the room on my arms, on my skin. I can feel the hair on the back of my neck. I am very present in what's happening in the here and in the now. And so you want to take moments throughout your day and be present. How am I feeling? What am I thinking? What's happening right now? And then you want to add to that breathing, deep breathing, because normally we have shallow breath. When was the last time you actually took a deep breath? What happens when you take a deep breath? I'm gonna there is, let me see, there's this guy, his name is Dr. Herbert Benson, and he's the founder of Harvard's Mind and Body Medical Institute. And he said, breathing initiate your relaxation response. The relaxation response is a physical state of deep rest that changes the physical and emotional responses to stress, which is the opposite of fight or flight. You see, usually when we feel overwhelmed, we're ready to fight or we're ready to run. We're ready to conquer. We're ready to go high. We're ready to just, do this, this, and this and be frenzy and start moving. And we have all this anxious energy. But when you pause, when you get in the present, be still and start to have deep breaths. After just one breath, you feel the tension in your muscle release. After one deep breath, you feel the oxygen expand your lungs and travel throughout your body. After one deep breath, your mind begins to clear. And when your mind begins to clear, your body begins to relax, and the stress begins to not have such a big impact on your body. Then you can step back and say, okay, do I have to address this right now? Yes or no? Yes. If I do have to do it, okay, what is the problem and what is the solution? What am I physically able to do at this moment? And then you're able to actually respond from a place of clarity instead of responding from a place of anxiousness and overwhelm. So those are the 5 exercises you want to start practicing when you are feeling overwhelmed. Okay, and what I'm going to do also is after class today, I'm going to email you all these exercises for you to do and for you to have when you need to pick up these exercises. So that's the first set of exercises I want you to do. The second set of exercises are geared towards negative thinking. And negative thinking is something that probably plagues all of us. Negative thinking is not something we'll ever overcome because negative thinking actually has a purpose in our lives. And this information is coming from Dr. Rick Hansen. He's a senior fellow of the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley. And he says you can blame negative thinking on your subconscious mind to try and protect us. It was a survival technique developed thousands of years ago. So he says to keep our ancestors alive, Mother Nature evolved the brain and routinely tricked them into making 3 mistakes. Number 1, overestimating threats. Number 2, underestimating opportunities. And number 3, underestimating resources for dealing with threats and fulfilling opportunities. And so that just goes to say that we develop this negative type of thinking in order to protect us from threats, in order to protect us from making mistakes, in order to protect us from overusing our resources. So it was there for a purpose, but the challenge that we have is that we do not know how to analyze our negative thinking. Instead, we let our thoughts, our negative thinking, our fears control us instead of us controlling our thinking. So what do we do? What are some things you can do to combat that negative thinking and put it in perspective? The first thing we're going to do, which is an exercise from the previous sets, is to practice mindfulness. You want to, when you are feeling negative thoughts coming on, be present in the moment, be still, and take a few deep breaths in order to calm your mind from the negative thinking and from the fearful thoughts. The second thing you want to do is to reframe your thoughts and disassociate yourself from your thoughts. So what do I mean by reframing your thoughts? It means that to reframe and disassociate, the first thing you want to do is disassociate your thoughts, because what we often do is saying, oh, I'll never get that done, or this is way too hard for me. So now you have attached yourself to a negative thought. Instead of saying, I am having a thought that I'll never get this done, I'm having a thought that this is too hard for me. Do you see the difference there? You have not emotionally attached yourself to the negative thinking. Instead, you have disassociated yourself and made it an object that you can actually, look at and say, this is a thought that I am having. Is this thought true or false? Is this thought helping me or hurting me? So when you frame it in that way, you disassociate with it, then you're able to put it in its rightful place. And you do that by observing the thought. Okay, I'm having this thought. This thought is happening in my mind right now. You want to challenge the thought. Is this thought really true? So if you're having thoughts of, well, this is too hard for me, I can't do it, is that really a true statement? Or is it truer that you just don't feel like doing? Or is it truer that you can do it because there are resources and people who are available to you to get it done? What is the truth of the situation? If the negative thought that you're having is not a truth, then you need to replace it with what the truth is. Well, yeah, I am having a thought that that this task is too hard for me. But the truth is that it's not too hard for me. It is going to make me uncomfortable, but I have the tools and the resources. I have this book over here. I have this mentor over here. And I have the experience I gained from this activity I did last year that's equipped me already to accomplish this task. So the truth of the matter is, it's not too hard for me. I can do it, and I have the tools and the resources to get it done. So that is how you replace a negative thought, by observing it, by challenging it about whether or not it's true, and then replacing it with the truth of the situation. And then another thing you can do to change and reframe your negative thoughts is to change your perspective. Think in the opposite. So you want to think of it as you are in a room with four walls, right? And if I have my back turned this way, I can only see what's in front of me. So my perspective is only this part of the room. But if I turn this way, my perspective is this way. So depending on which way you look at it determines how you respond. So when I'm facing this way, my perspective is this room has a window. There is no door. There is a window. There is a wall. There is a lamp. But when I turn this way, oh, there's a way out. There's a door. There's my exit. So you have to learn to change your perspective, meaning see your situation, see that thought from a different perspective, because normally your negative thoughts is only looking this way. It is telling you there is no way out. It is telling you that there's only a window. But when you look at it from different corners of the room and different sides of the room, then you can see the truth of the situation is, and the truth is there is a way out and there is a door. So change your perspective. Then the question comes to mind, what do you do if the negative thought is actually true? What if you do if the negative thought, let's say your negative thought is, I have no money in the bank. Or your negative thought is, my kids have lost their doggone mind. Or your negative thought is, wow, my friends have really betrayed me. What if those negative thoughts are actually true? What do you do? What you do is to accept it. Accept what is. What we tend to do is we try to resist it. We try to fight it. We try to change it, right? So you have a negative thought that you are broke. And the truth of the matter is, yeah, there's no money in your bank account, and there's no way for you to get more money in your bank account at this particular time. So that is a truth. And then you begin to feel all bad. You begin to beat yourself up. You begin to feel worthless. And you begin to feel all these other things. You begin to let your negative thoughts run out of control in your head. But instead, keep your negative thought in check and say, you know what, that is a true statement. I have no money in my bank account, but it doesn't affect anything else in my life. It doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change my worth. It simply is, I don't have any money. And that's okay. That's a temporary situation. I know now that I need to do something differently, but I'm not going to let this negative thought, ruin the rest of my life, ruin how I feel, or ruin all the other things I am fully capable of. So you have to accept what is, instead of trying to fight against it, instead of trying to convince yourself that having no money in your bank account is actually a good thing, because that's not true. Okay? So those are the three. Oh, one more thing. You want to, when it comes to negative thoughts, you want to be able to identify your triggers, because there are certain things that trigger you in your mind. So for me, one of the triggers that I have from a relationship from years ago is I cannot walk into a house and see a man laying on the couch, because that was such a sore spot for me in my previous relationship, my previous marriage, that it triggers a pain in me. It triggers a negative thought in me. But now that I know the trigger, when I see a grown man laying on the couch after I've come home from work, or after I've done something, then I recognize the trigger. I began to breathe, and I began to say to myself, okay, he is not my ex-husband. Or I began to say, you know what, this is not the past. He's actually sick, or he's actually not feeling good. See it for what it is. So when you're able to recognize what triggers your negative thoughts, then you can begin to take control of your thoughts and say, okay, is this negative thought true or false? Okay, when the next time that this negative thought pops in my head, or the next time this trigger happens, I know in my brain to kick in and say that this is a trigger from my past. My past is no longer my present. Therefore, I need to look at the situation for what it is and take in the information that's happening right now. So you want to be able to identify your triggers. And one of the good ways to do that is to simply use a rubber band. You can put a rubber band on your wrist, or a hair tie or something like that. And when you begin to have a negative thought, simply pop it on your wrist. You can simply pop it, because what it does is creates a physical stimuli to remind you that this is a trigger, and you begin to remember it more often than not. So that is the 4 exercises to overcome negative thinking. The next set of exercises is to help you overcome worry, stress, and anxiousness. Okay? So again, I start off each of these with deep breathing and meditation. I've added meditation to worry, stress, and anxiousness because meditation is really what teaches you how to control your thoughts instead of your thoughts controlling you. And when we think about meditation, it's not all this, I don't know, like, it doesn't have anything to do with religion per se. I know a lot of the Eastern cultures and the Eastern religions practice it, but meditation is simply being in the present. Meditation is simply holding a thought for an X amount of time. So, for example, even the Bible tells you to meditate on the Word of God. And to meditate, you can simply sit here and hold the thoughts of peace in your mind. And in your mind, you close your eyes, you center yourself, you relax your body, and you're like, peace, peace. You focus in on the word peace. You see it in your mind's eye. You begin to feel peace in your body. That is what meditation is. Or meditation could be focusing on your breath, because this is something that is also taught as well. And I like the breathing exercise because it really teaches you how to focus in on one thing. So one of the things that I like to do with meditation is practice my breathing. So as I am taking deep breaths, when I have the deep breaths in, I feel the air. I pay attention to the feeling of the air going into my nostrils, into the back of my throat, and into my lungs. And then when I exhale, I focus in on feeling the breath come out of my lungs, back through my throat, and out of my nose, out of my mouth. That way I am able to, I am focusing my mind. And what that does for you, because if you just try and sit in silence and try to meditate that way without a focus area, then then your thoughts begin to take over. Your thoughts begin to run. So you can sit here for 30 seconds and just breathe and just be here. All of a sudden you think about the chores you have to do. All of a sudden you think about, oh crap, I forgot to change my oil. Oh crap, I forgot to pick this up. And your brain goes all the way out in left field when you should be back here in your present. And so when you practice breathing as a form of your meditation, that is really what disciplines your mind. And meditation doesn't have to be 15 minutes or 30 minutes, anything like that. It could be as quick as 5 minutes. And I'm going to share with you an app that I highly recommend. Let me see here. It's called the Calm app. And I have it on my phone. Can you see that? You can probably even hear it too. But there is a, yes, there's a meditation practice. So on this app, there are several different meditation practices on here, but the one that I like is the one on focus. So there are a couple of different ones on focus. Body scan is really good. And then there is returning to the now. This one right here. This is the one that I like because it teaches you, it's a guided meditation. And so you could sit here and you could practice breathing, but every X amount of minutes you'll hear a gong, just a sound that goes off, and it reminds you to bring your thoughts back here to the present. So I would highly encourage you guys to download the Calm app if you really want to meditate. And one of the things about the Calm app is, as you can see, can you see that? I don't know if you can see it or not, but there are different durations. There's 3 minutes, there's 5 minutes, there's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, all the way to 30 minutes. So you don't feel like, so if you're new to meditation, you don't have to feel like that you have to sit here for 30 minutes. You can start with 3 minutes. That is the easiest thing to do. Do that every day for 7 days. Then the next week you do 5 minutes. Each week you want to increase it to increase the disciplining of your mind, because what we're doing here is creating new habits. Because if you let your mind run over you, your mind will run over you. So download the Calm app, CALM, that's the name of the app. And then the next thing for overcoming worry, stress, and anxiousness is to remember the Serenity Prayer. And I don't know if you guys have actually heard the whole Serenity Prayer, but I want to read it to you. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking as he did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen. And I love this prayer because it reminds you to let go and let God. It reminds you to take things as they are, not for how you want them to be, meaning to let go of control. It reminds you that you have been given a certain portion of wisdom, a certain portion of courage, a certain portion of knowledge to handle certain things in your life. And the things that you can't do, God can do. It's as simple as that. And then here's another prayer that I do, which is called the prayer of transference. You're transferring your stress. You're transferring your anxiety. You're transferring your worries to God. And it simply says, I cast every burden on the Christ within and go freely about my life and business. It's simple as that. I cast every burden on the Christ within and go freely about my life and business. So we all know that Christ lives within us. The Holy Spirit lives within us. Christ is the God that was able to carry the burdens of all our sins, to carry the burdens on the world. We were not meant to carry the burden on our own. Therefore, because I know this, when I began to feel stressed, okay, God, I'm gonna cast this burden on you because I can't handle this on my own. So I'm gonna cast my burden on you and go freely about my day and my business and my life, because I know that you have the answer. I know that the solution already exists. I know that you have my best interest at heart. So I go about freely knowing that you are taking care of all the things that I cannot do. And I'm not going to try to overextend myself. So that's the prayer. I call the prayer of transference. I'm transferring the burden from myself into God. So, and that's just something that kind of I made up, just the prayer of transference. But it is actually something that I learned a few years ago about having this space of being calm and unmessable with, so that you are centered in who you are. You are centered in whose you are. So when things aren't going your way or chaos begins to happen all around you, you go within because you have already meditated and been practicing the serenity prayer. You've already been practicing and meditating on the prayer of transference. So when things begin to go awry in real life, you remain calm and unshakable in your daily affairs, because you know that all things are happening in divine order, that all things are happening for your good, that all things are happening just as they should, even though you may not understand it, even though you may not have the answer, even though it may be painful or uncomfortable. You remain calm and unshakable and not allow yourself to be moved by the people driving crazy in front of you. You not allow yourself to be moved by somebody trying to pick an argument with you. You're not even letting yourself be moved because, the bank took an extra $15 out of your account. You know there's a solution. So you remain calm. You ask God to reveal to you the solution, and you go about freely about your day, knowing that your problems are already solved. That's how you get rid of your worry. That's how you get rid of your stress. That's how you get rid of the anxiousness. Okay? So next, and this is the last set of exercises I want to share with you, is overcoming the emotions of fear and disappointment. And I have a whole lesson, things like a 5 or 6 part lesson on overcoming fear. But I'm just going to touch on it here. What is fear? Fear is simply an emotion. Fear is simply based on a threat that's either real or imagined. It may or may not happen. It's possible or maybe it's probable. But it is simply an emotion. And so when we begin to have feelings of fear and feelings of fearful thoughts or feel fearful thoughts, we begin to feel disappointment. The first thing we have to do is separate our feelings from the experience. Become emotionally detached, but still emotionally aware, meaning that, let's say, I feel really disappointed because my boyfriend forgot my birthday. And I have a feeling of fear that he's not really as committed to me as he said he was. And those are real situations, right? Your husband or your significant other or something like that did something that caused fear and disappointment in you. And so you have to step back and ask yourself, okay, is the fear I'm feeling, is it based on a real threat, or am I just making it up? Meaning, I have this fear that he's not as committed to me as he said he was because he forgot my birthday. And is that a real fear? So what are the facts of the situation? Well, the fact is we've been together for 3 years. The fact is he don't know I know it, but he just bought me an engagement ring. So he really is committed. I'm just in my emotions because he forgot my birthday. And the fact is, the only reason he forgot my birthday is because his mom has been diagnosed with cancer. And that is emotionally overwhelming for him. So my fear, I know that's probably not the best example in the world, but the fear that I'm feeling is based on a threat that is imagined. The fear that I'm feeling is based on something that may be possible, but it really isn't probable based on who he is and based on the facts of what I know to be true. So that's what I mean. You have to be able to detach your emotions from the situation and look at the information, look at the facts, and then be able to move forward based on the facts. Even if you have been disappointed about something, you could be disappointed about what happened at work. You could be disappointed about what happened in your relationship. You could even be disappointed in yourself because you forgot something or you didn't do the best you could have done in a certain situation. So one of the best things you can do is to, number one, detach yourself emotionally. And here's the thing. You can give yourself 5 minutes to be emotional, okay? It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to feel a little bit of panic or a little bit of fear or a little bit of disappointment. But you don't want to get in the habit of living from that place and moving from that place and letting your actions be dictated on this place of fear and disappointment. What you want to do is allow yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to feel the fear, feel the emotions, feel the disappointments, and then move from that feeling of fear to from that place of feeling and emotions to a place of being a problem solver. Move to a place of being solution oriented. So how do you do that? And this is something I actually just did probably this past week. Yeah, it was this past week. I was feeling disappointed about something. And so I had a good probably 10 or 15 minutes of being in my feelings. And then I took a deep breath. I said, okay, this is getting me nowhere. So what I really need is a solution. So what is the problem? What are my current experiences? What is the current outcome? The problem is X, Y, and Z. And the outcome that I am experiencing is this. And this outcome is not something that I want. So what is my desired outcome? What is it that I truly want? And then based on my desired outcome, now I want to do possible solutions to help me achieve the desired outcomes. And you want to limit that to no more than 3, because here's the thing. If you start thinking about all the possible solutions, you'll get analysis paralysis. You'll get stuck. You'll feel overwhelmed. So just choose the first 3 that come to mind. What are the possible solutions? And then what are the possible outcomes for each solution? One possible outcome for each solution. And then you pick a solution to follow through with. That's it. That's how you move from being overcome with fear and disappointment into a place, okay, I have a problem. Something didn't go the way I wanted to. So now how do I move from problem to solution so that I can have forward moving action? You see, when we think about feeling all the stress and anxiety and overwhelm, is something that we are living from a place of emotion and not from a place of spirit. We are living from a place of emotion and not from a place of finding a solution. We are living from a place of emotion and not from a place of God has given us all the resources and the answers that we need. And whatever we don't know, the Holy Spirit knows. And so all we have to do is open our mouths and ask God to deliver the solution, to give us some help. That's why the scripture says, I look up towards the hill from whence my help comes. God will give us the help that we need. All we have to do is ask. All we have to do is reframe the situation and move ourselves from a place of feeling emotions to a place of solving the problem. Okay? So I know this was a heavy, heavy day today. I gave you a lot of exercises, a lot of information. And here's the thing. It's a challenge. This is a challenge. And so after tonight, I want you to observe this information. I want you to take a look and see, okay, this information applies to how I am feeling right now. So I am feeling overwhelmed, or I am feeling, and I'm experiencing a lot of negative things. I'm experiencing all this other stuff. So you take a good friend of mine always says, eat the meat and spit out the bones. So if your pain point right now is feeling overwhelmed, then do the exercises I've given you based on the overwhelmed feeling. If your pain point right now is having too many negative thoughts, then do the exercises to eliminate the negative thoughts. If your pain point right now is feeling so much worry, so much stress, and so much anxiousness, then do the activities and the exercises to overcome that. You see, you don't have to do all of this at the same time. But what I want to make sure of is that you have the tools in your arsenal so that when you feel these different feelings at different points in your day and time, you know exactly what to do. Like I said, I gave you a lot, but I am going to email you all of this so that you can have it easily at your disposal. Okay? So, hey, Wendy, I'm seeing that you're just joining us here. So just to let you know, you probably caught the part here where I just kind of finished going over some of the exercise and activities in order to overcome certain feelings in life. Because the purpose of today was to simply get your mind right, is to realize that all that you are experiencing at this moment is based on your thinking, is based on your thoughts. And so we have to get to a point where we are controlling our thoughts in order to control what's happening around us. Because if we don't control our thoughts begin to control our emotions, and then we begin to move and think and behave from a place of our emotions, not from a place of spirit. We begin to move, think, and behave from a place of emotions, and not from a place of I know who I am and whose I am. Therefore, I remain unmovable and unshakable in my daily affairs. And so, so we are setting the tone right now for the rest of this week. So this is the heaviest day that you're going to have. The rest of this week, you're still going to have some more tools to add to your arsenal, some more tools to help you overcome the overwhelm and overcome the anxiety and overcome the stress. And so tomorrow's topic is going to be perfection is not required. And I made this for day number 2 because after a day like today where I've given you so many tools and things to do and kind of help you understand why you are feeling the way you are feeling, I don't want you to get caught up in doing everything right. You know, life is not about perfection. Life is about constant correction. Nowhere in the Bible, nowhere in any holy script on the face of this planet does it require you to be perfect. What it does require you to do is to be in a state of constant correction, a state of, okay, I did this, I did good in this area, I did not do it good in this area, so I'm going to correct it for tomorrow. And it also means extending the same grace, the same attitude of perfection is not required to other people in your life, to your relationship, to your job, to your money, to different things. Because when you are able to let go of this perfection syndrome that a lot of us have, your life becomes easier. The burden that we place on ourselves to be perfect and to get it right the first time is released, and then you are able to move freely about the cabin. You are able to actually have more clarity and be more free and allow yourself to learn and to grow, because that is really the purpose of the experiences that we had. God allows certain experiences for us so that we can refine ourselves, so that we can grow, so that we can be prepared for the next level in our lives. So again, tomorrow is about perfection is not required. So join me back here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time here on Zoom. It's the same link that was in your email, and we're going to get started at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, okay? So Wendy, I know you're just joining me. Do you have any questions about the little bit that you've heard so far? I'm going to send the recording after we sign off here to your email box. So you can watch it from the very beginning. But do you have any questions about anything you've heard right now? You're on mute if you're talking. I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself. All right, Wendy. Well, if you don't have any questions right now, you can actually send me an email. If you have any questions after you have viewed the video from tonight, or after you have received the notes from tonight. So again, join me back here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to talk about perfection is not required. All right, you guys, again, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. And if you have any questions about anything I've said here tonight, please, please, please don't be shy. Send me an email tomorrow before we get started. I'm going to go and I'm going to open up the floor for any questions that you may have about anything you've heard so far. So don't be shy. Send me an email, leave a message in the chat box, and we can get your questions and concern answered, okay? Wendy, you have your hand raised. Let's see. All right, you can ask your question. You're unmuted, Wendy. Wendy, you have a question? I saw your hand was raised. Or are you just playing around? Can you see the chat box? I don't know why my nose is itching today. I think it's allergies. Oh, okay. You've muted yourself again. Okay. Well, if you don't have a question, Wendy, again, you can send me an email. Just reply to the email that you received today, and I'll get that directly to my email box, and I'll answer any questions you may have. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off for tonight. But again, I'll see you back here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay. Have a good evening.